Hello all. In today's video, I'll be talking about communication and language. What are the key differences in communication and language? In many cases, the words language and communication are used interchangeably. We use either both of them to mean speaking person to person. However, there is a distinct dichotomy between the two terms, language versus communication. In a very real sense, every living thing communicates in some way. Fish jumps sometimes for sheer joy. Birds sing their cadences to communicate a variety of purposes, many of them doubtlessly unknown to us. Dogs bark, cats mew, cows moo, and horses whinny, and yet we do not say they are engaging in language communication. These noises or other interactions communicate or transfer information of some kind or another between them. And yet, that is not language communication. What is language? Language is the highest form of intelligent interaction and is reserved for higher order beings of our universe, namely humans. No other living things communicate verbally, and further reduces that verbal communication to written form as well. Language is a distinctly human activity that aids in the transmission of feelings and thoughts from one person to another. It is how we express what we think or feel through sounds and or symbols, spoken or written words, signs, postures and gestures that convey a certain meaning. Among people, language is the primary means of communication. It is through language communication, spoken or written, that we are able to share our ideas, opinions, views, and emotions with another person. The purpose of language is making sense of complex and abstract thoughts. Various languages are used by people residing in different areas or belonging to different communities. Over time, language have been passed down verbally through generations and eventually reduced to some form of written record. Language as a tool primarily occurs in auditory channels and is open to dynamic change. The written form is an unchanging set of materials by which others can learn to communicate in a given language and has therefore become a vital aid to global human communication. The definition of communication. Now let us look what is communication. We have seen what is language. Now understand what is communication. Where language is a tool, communication is an experience. Communication is described as an art of interchanging ideas, information or messages from one person or place to another via words or signs which are understood to both the parties, that is sender and receiver. It is a crucial activity for any group of beings because it is the means by which members of the group cooperate together. Communication is necessary for any group to function effectively. It is at its core a two-way activity consisting of seven major elements, namely sender, message, encoding, channel, receiver, decoding, and feedback. Now let us understand the key differences between language and communication. Language is a system of communication that relies on verbal or non-verbal codes to transfer information. Communication is a way of interchanging messages or information between two or more people focusing on the message. That means language is a system of set symbols, a way of expression, whereas communication is way of interchanging the messages, a method through which the language can be transferred from one person to another. Language is a tool of communication. Communication is a process of transferring the messages. Language changes dynamically as new words can be created. Communication is considered static as its basic steps remain unchanged. The basics of communication do not change. However, new words are added to the dictionary of language almost daily. Now let us see how they work together. Communicating with others is a basic human need. Healthy living involves interacting and engaging with others, and our primary means of doing so is through shared language. As we obtain the capability of communicating across languages, we achieve interaction at the global level. It is not really language versus communication, it is language and communication. Shared language is critical to such vital functions as businesses and education. We are living today in an interconnected global community where communicating through shared language is increasingly possible. Overall, communication has a wider scope than language, as communication encompasses language. A good analogy of the relationship between language and communication is to look at communication as the car and language as the road. The car of communication can go down another road, another language, or even go off-roading, but language would remain there. Language allows us to communicate in variety of ways, but it is only one set of tools in the larger scheme. Besides language, the communication toolset is comprised of things like empathy, knowledge, body language, facial expressions, and intonations. Relationships thrive through communication regardless of the shared language. Therefore, it is up to businesses and organizations to communicate with their target audiences in the correct shared language. I hope you are clear with the concept. Thank you for today.